What's up everyone, and welcome to another Minecraft farm tutorial. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to farm sugarcane. In my Minecraft plays, I typically build some gigantic sugarcane farms and some small automated ones as well. You know, it's always nice to get lots of rockets and lots of books for enchanting. And even though Mojang is bound and determined to ruin villagers, you can still trade lots of paper to the librarians for emeralds to buy other stuff. I'll also show you how to make a harvesting scythe if you want to make a big field with a flying machine to harvest the sugarcane. The first fully automated design that I will go over has a little bit of loss. Some of the sugarcane will get stuck and won't make it into your storage, but this is typically the one that I build in my base just to give me enough sugarcane to make rockets. But we also have this design over here that uses a minecart and is totally lossless. To be totally honest, however, if you want tons and tons of sugarcane really quickly, I would recommend just doing it by hand. Find a body of water, such as an ocean or a river, and then use your extra dirt to make these lines of dirt in the water so that you can plant sugarcane on them. The ones on the side will only be 1 block wide, but the ones in the middle can be 2 blocks wide. One of the nice things about this is you can make it absolutely massive. You can fill up the entire body of water with sugarcane and then just run through and get stacks and stacks and stacks in just a couple of minutes. Plus, not having to place the water saves you a ton of time and makes this really, really easy and quick to build. I would also recommend placing upper half slabs in the water canals. That way you don't fall in and none of the sugarcane falls in. This really helps with harvesting. This way you can just run through the field all willy-nilly and not worry about falling in a hole or anything like that. Pretty much every world that I have ever played on, this is my go-to for farming sugarcane. The automated ones are nice, but just because you can make this, gargantuan, and it's just so easy to harvest, you just run through, every few minutes whenever you see that it's fully grown, and you end up with just tons and tons of sugarcane. And if you need more because you're like trading with villagers, or, whatever you're trying to do with it, you can just make it bigger. There's the only limit to how big you can make this is the body of water that you're using. And then technically, you could always just expand it manually by placing the water, but that is a little time consuming, I will say. And just from that little amount of time in this teeny tiny farm, we got almost 5 stacks just by running through really quickly. This takes like 5 minutes to build, maybe 10 minutes to build, and then like 1 minute or 2 minutes to harvest, and boom, you have like 5 stacks. It takes longer just to wait for it to grow than it does to actually build it or harvest it. And I didn't even go through and pick it all up. If I went through and pick it all up, we have almost 6 stacks. So that's another thing with this, is I usually just kind of run through and grab the majority of it. I don't even worry about picking up every single little piece. Whereas these fully automated farms, they're nice, but they just do not produce very much at all. Even the lossless one, while I was building that other farm, only gave us like 40 sugarcane. Of course, you could always expand these and make them bigger, but then it gets really expensive really quickly with there being an observer and a piston every single cell. So it's totally up to you. Typically what I do is build one of these in my base for sugarcane for rockets, and then build a giant field of sugarcane for paper, for enchanted books, and trading with villagers. So it really just depends on your needs. Another thing you can do with a giant field of sugarcane is build a harvesting scythe, such as this one. Now just pretend this bamboo is sugarcane. Pressing the button will make the scythe go across, which will harvest all of the plants. You will have to run through and collect it all by hand. I don't know if there's necessarily a way to use minecarts underneath the sugarcane, because the sugarcane needs to be next to water. You might be able to figure out a way, but honestly, just running up and down the rows, collecting it all manually, won't take very much time at all. This will save a little bit of time by cutting it down for you. And I have a video on how to build this harvesting scythe, as well as some other flying machines. So if you would like a step-by-step tutorial, you can check out that video, which I will link in the video description and here on the screen. But, for this video's sake, I will fly around this and allow you to take screenshots if you would like to build it from a picture. Each section has 9 slime blocks. It is the maximum width that it can be, so your field of sugarcane would be as wide as this. This piston right here is also a normal piston, but the other 2 pistons are sticky. It also might be a good idea, if you build this, to build some walls around your field of sugarcane. That way the sugarcane doesn't get bounced too far out by the slime blocks. And as for the other side, it's just 2 repeaters on maximum delay, a regular piston, and an observer. and they are aligned with that little bump of slime over there next to the glazed terracotta and the piston. But if you build this top section first with the slime blocks, when you activate it, it'll keep going until it runs into the obsidian stack right there on the left. That can be anywhere that touches the slime blocks. And then once it stops, you can build the returning mechanism. So this thing right here that pushes it and returns it, you build that last so that you don't really have to align it. You just build it next to the top part once it's been stopped. And now on to the fully automated designs, starting with the ones that don't use a minecart. Now these are the ones that I usually make just because they're a little cheaper, not needing the minecart. But you're going to start off by placing a double chest with a hopper going into that chest in the floor, and then we're going to place 8 dirt blocks in a row diagonally up from the hopper, like so. Your water is going to be in this central canal, but on the other side we either need to place blocks or dirt. Dirt if you're going to mirror the design, or just regular blocks if you're just going to build a single row. I will explain the mirrored design after we finish this side, but we're going to place water in the central canal, and it should come right up to the hopper and stop. Then we're going to place our sugarcane on top of the dirt blocks, and then behind the sugarcane, we're going to place solid blocks back here. But what I like to do is I like to place jack-o'-lanterns because they provide the maximum light source. So, it helps the sugarcane grow, especially at night, by just providing them with direct light. But then on top of those blocks, we're going to place pistons facing the sugarcane, like so. Then we're going to turn around and place observers on top of those pistons facing the sugarcane. And technically, if you can't afford all of the observers, you could skip out on a few of them. It will reduce the rates slightly, but it will still work just the same. So a lot of times, if it's at the very beginning of the game, when I don't have very much resources, I'll just build a couple of observers and then add them later on. But then we're going to place solid blocks behind the pistons with redstone dust on top of them, and now all that's left is to box it in. I recommend using glass if you're building it outside, just so it can still receive sunlight, but if you're building it like inside of a wall in your base or in your mine, then you can just, box it up with whatever blocks you would like. Also be sure not to cover the hopper like I just did. My brain totally shorted out. And yeah, just don't cover the hopper, allow there to be a hole above the hopper so that the sugarcane can actually go into the hopper. Now if you want to mirror the design, of course we don't need this wall right here, and these iron blocks need to actually be dirt blocks. So if you want to mirror the design, put dirt blocks right here, plant your sugarcane on top of them, and then place your solid blocks behind the sugarcane. Again, I recommend using some sort of light source blocks. So like frog lights or sea lanterns or jack-o'-lanterns, just whichever one you prefer. And then we're going to place pistons on top of those blocks with observers facing inwards, then a row of solid blocks behind that with redstone dust on top. Next up, we need to grab some glass panes or iron bars, just some sort of really skinny block, and place it in the middle to catch some of the sugarcane. If you don't have this, then it will push the sugarcane onto the other side and actually decrease the rates. But make sure to leave a block space at the very bottom, like so. If you put it all the way down, I've noticed that sometimes the sugarcane will bounce off of it and get stuck regardless. So leave the very bottom block air right above the water next to the sugarcane, and then box it up and you will be done. Again, make sure that the hopper has a hole above it so that you can, actually collect the items. But now on to the lossless minecart design. One nice thing about this one is it can be as long as you want it to be, because you're not relying on the flowing water to collect the items. But start off by placing a chest in the ground with a hopper going into it, and then place a block diagonally up from that hopper with a powered rail on top of the hopper. And then place down rails as wide as you want the farm to be. And when you're ready, place a block at the very end, and then replace this with a powered rail, and then place powered rails throughout the rail system to make sure the minecart doesn't get stuck. And then grab your redstone torches or your levers and place them next to these powered rails to keep them active. Levers are a little bit cheaper. Unless you have lots of extra redstone, then you can just use torches if you would like. You could also put them under the rails if you want to. It's just totally up to you. Place a minecart with a hopper right here, and what you don't want to do is leave this active. Any tutorial that has this always active is just begging for your world to lag. Especially if you're playing on realms, you should never ever ever have a minecart infinitely going. It should always be triggered by something else. Moving minecarts are one of the most laggy things in the entire game, so just avoid them at all costs. But then we're going to place dirt above the rail track, like so, and now we need to build a water canal. So place down solid blocks or blocks of your choice down here so that the water doesn't go anywhere. Then just box it up so that the water is trapped in this little canal right here. And once you have your canal built, place in your water. It can be full water source blocks or it can be running water. It doesn't matter. It just needs to be here so that the sugarcane can be placed next to it. But then place your sugarcane next to that on top of the dirt, and then cover up the water with your light blocks or your solid blocks if you don't want to use light blocks. But again, just like last time, I recommend using light blocks just to help the sugarcane grow. And then we're going to place our pistons on top of those blocks facing the sugarcane, an entire row of pistons, and then we're going to place the observers facing inwards yet again, just like last time. And again, if you can't afford this, you could always skip out on some of the observers and add them later, but then place solid blocks along the back row of pistons with redstone dust on top of them. And now we can box it up. As always, I would recommend using glass to box it up if you're building it outdoors so that they still get sunlight. But if you're building it, underground or in your base or something like that where there is no sunlight, you can just box it up with whatever you want. You can use solid blocks or decorative blocks, just whatever you would like to do. Just box it up so that none of the sugarcane can escape. And now all that's left to do is to attach the redstone behind the observers down to your minecart so that it activates the minecart whenever the pistons activate. Now this is extremely simple to do, but depending on how long you made this, if you made it super duper long, you will need an extra repeater or two just to refresh the signal so that it actually makes it to the minecart. But we're going to start off by going to the block right behind the minecart, right here, this one right here, and we're going to place a repeater on maximum delay going into that block, like so. And now we just need to run the redstone line from here down to that repeater. So however you would like to do that, you could make it as simple as just placing solid blocks, run the redstone down and around like so. This would be totally fine. Or if you want it to be a little more compact, you can use glass instead of solid blocks. Simply place glass right here and then diagonally down, and then a solid block behind that repeater right here with redstone dust on top of these 3 blocks. The glass doesn't pinch the redstone, and the repeater can pull the redstone signal out of that solid block, and so that will also work. And if you made the farm super duper long, you will need some repeaters to refresh the signal so that it actually makes it to the minecart. This is super easy. Simply come down to some of the farthest observers and place a repeater coming out of the redstone line like so. Now we just need to run redstone from this repeater to the other repeater next to the minecart. So we're just going to place redstone dust going down like so, and then all the way over here. And then again, just place some more repeaters to make sure that the signal is strong enough to make it all the way. Repeaters can refresh redstone up to 15 blocks, but I rarely count. I usually just kind of guess and throw repeaters in there, and then just observe to make sure the redstone signal is actually traveling the correct distance. But now you're done. Now, whenever the observers notice that the sugarcane has grown, it will activate the pistons and also activate the minecart. Once the hopper minecart has picked up all the sugarcane through the block, it will then deposit it into this hopper, which will deposit it into the chest. And that's it. That's all we got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and it makes me happy. If you have any questions or requests, let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to help you out. If you're one of my subscribers coming back to watch yet another Minecraft video, thank you so much. You are totally awesome. I love you all. And even if you're not subscribed, I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you liked it. Consider subscribing for more Minecraft farms, redstone tutorials, build videos, and more. And in the video description, there is a link to my Discord. Feel free to join that Minecraft community so that you can share pictures of your builds, talk to me about redstone, find players to play with, or anything else Minecraft related that you would like to do. Thank you again for watching this video, but that's all we got, so until next time, I've been your host, OmLedu, hopefully teaching you a farm trick or two, and reminding you, as always, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye!